For today, it's still related to the sutra that we learn because it's deal with the meditation, it's deal with the thought. Okay, this sutra is called the Dvedhavitakka Sutta, Majjhima Nikāya number 19. The Buddha talked about two kinds of thought. Interesting. The sutra is in Majjhima Nikāya. It's not too short, not too long. I would say the intermediate and advanced Dhamma teaching in this particular teaching. So we will touch on a certain aspect of some of the key principles of this sutra, not all of them. So what is this sutra is all about? The Buddha talks about his own meditation practice before he achieved enlightenment, and he come up with the practical guide for us to be used when it comes to practice meditation, and later on it become the foundation teaching for modern meditation practice as well. At the beginning, the Buddha talked about his own experience. He said, Bhikkhu, that means he gave the teaching to the monks. Before my enlightenment, while I was only an unenlightened Bodhisattva, this is the new term, another keyword. Bodhisattva is a being, a human being just like us. You can be one. Is a being who determined to become the Buddha, to realize the truth of life. But at the moment, he is not there yet. So he is a Bodhisattva. It occurred to me that suppose I divide my thought into two classes. Then I set on one side. So one group of thought is like this: sensual desire, the thought of ill will, and the thought of cruelty. And another thought that the Buddha divided composed of renunciation, non-ill will, and non-cruelty. What have we learned here so far? It sounds simple, right? Nothing much. So for me, I feel like the Buddha, he is a human. When he meditates, he experiences the same thing that we experience, all kind of hindrances. Right? Thought come, ill will come, falling asleep come, doubt come. That's human mind. The Buddha to be, or the Bodhisattva, he also experienced the same hindrances, just like all of us here experience. But with his keen sense of observation, he come up with his own method. It's to deal with the thought that arises in his meditation. So thinking always come. It's always come. It's the matter of how do we do with the thought that come. The Bodhisattva divided thought into two categories: the thought of sense desire, the thought of ill will, the thought of cruelties, and then another class he called the renunciation, non-ill will and non-cruelties. So if we put this into a picture, we would see, okay, this is the first group, this is the second group of thought. For this one, wholesome thought. If you still remember, we learned the second factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, Samma Sankappa, the right intention. The right intention has exactly the same teaching here. The intention of renunciation, the intention of non-ill will, and the intention of non-cruelty. This is Samma Sankappo, which opposite to this is Micchā Sankappo. Sometimes they use the word wholesome, unwholesome. Sometimes they use the word skillful, unskillful, and skillful. Depend on the translators. But the Pali term called Samma Sankappo, the second factor in the Noble Eightfold Path. Samma Sankappo refers to the thinking or the intention of renunciation, of non-ill will, of non-cruelties, which opposite to the thinking of unwholesome or Micchā Sankappo. The Buddha named three things: sensual desire, ill will, and cruelty. There are three opposite thought. This one is negative, right? This one is positive. Good thought and bad thought. Wholesome, unwholesome. Skillful and unskillful. So let's get to know the term first. Vitakka, thought. You may hear the word vitakka already when we talk about the jhāna. Vitakka and vichara. Vitakka means you have the thought into the object, and vichara means you investigate the object. So vitakka or thought, here in this sutra, the Buddha divided them into two kinds, right? The unwholesome or akusala vitakka, and wholesome or kusala vitakka. Akusala vitakka or unwholesome thought has the sense desire, which is opposite to the renunciation. and the evil or payabhat vitakka is opposite to payabhat vitakka or non-evil. This should be non-evil. This should be non-cruelty. And the third one is vihingsa vitakka, cruelty, which is opposite to vihingsa or non-cruelty. Do you understand the definition of each term here in front of you? Okay, sense desire may be easy to understand, right? Sense desire, the thinking of human, animal, object, shopping, eating, traveling, entertainment, all of this is called the sense desires. But what is the ill will and the cruelties? What's the difference between payabhat and vihingsa, which the Buddha mentioned in the second factor in the Noble Eightfold Path here? Payabhat, for Thai people we hear this word a lot. Payabhat is a wishing others to suffer. It's just the wishing. Like I hate him, I wish him to be suffer, I wish him to fail, I wish him bad luck. But vihingsa is much stronger than that. It's a wanting or planning to make others suffer. That's why it's called cruelty. Cruelty in thought. If you think of that way a lot, it's going to become, you will take the action. It leads to the action later on. Like I want to hurt him, I will make him suffer. So this one more like a passive, but vihingsa is more like active. And when one have payabhat in the mind, the Buddha introduced the antidote for payabhat is called metta. Metta means loving kindness, which is the good antidote for payabhat. But when it comes to vihingsa, the Buddha introduced karuna or compassion. So that means loving kindness and compassion, they are not the same. They are different medicine. The loving kindness work well for payabhat, but when it comes to vihingsa, loving kindness is not enough. The Buddha introduced compassion or karuna. Compassion, again, this is active. Loving kindness is a passive. Oh, I wish you well, I wish you to be free from suffering, I wish you overcome your sickness, I wish you well, but I don't take any action. But when it comes to compassion, not only you feel sympathy for people who are suffering, you make an effort to do something, to reach out and help make the situation better. Maybe donation, maybe make a phone call, give people a comforting word that make people feel better. Like your friend, you know that they're not feeling well, you may make a phone call. That's called the karuna. So here, payabhat is like a passive. I wish this guy bad luck, I wish him to be failed not to be success in his job or whatever it is. But vihingsa is much stronger. That's why it's called cruelty. If we can put this into this picture, I think it helps us to understand better. The unwholesome state of mind and wholesome state of mind is like this. Oh, this should be unwholesome, sorry. Wholesome. You see the clarity and the crowded mind. This is what happens when the mind is defined by the defilement, by sense desire, by ill will, by cruelty, by lust, by anger, you name it. There's so many names of defilements that define the mind. And when the mind becomes defined, the mind is in unwholesome state. And in this unwholesome state of mind, the mind cannot be still, the mind cannot be calm, the mind cannot be relaxed. This mind is not good for anything, for meditation, for work, for anything. It is not in a good condition. Oppositely, as a meditator or as the Dhamma student, we should find a way to bring the mind back to be in a wholesome state by using the right antidote. Like ill will, you think of loving kindness, right? Cruelty, you think of karuna or compassion. Sense desire, you think of the renunciation. And the Buddha, as he meditated, the Buddha to be the Bodhisattva, he come up with his own way of analyze the thought. He divided into two kind of thought. Okay, the thought of unwholesome and the thought of wholesome. And he give the name. Okay, there are three in this category, unwholesome and another three in the wholesome state, which happen to be a perfect antidote. But before we go further, the sense desire, this one should be easy to understand, right? And renunciation, again, what does it mean? Why renunciation is the antidote for sense pleasure? Okay, as a monk, you live the lay life to be monastic. You live the sense pleasure world to be the world of nekhamma or non-sense pleasure. That's understandable. Does it mean that everyone has to be a monk to be free from the sense desire? Which is not the case. So the lay people can use this approach as well. When it comes to the idea of renunciation, that means you find a way to lessen the craving for sense desire. You may observe 8 precepts from time to time. Okay, today no shopping, no cosmetic, no entertainment, maybe once a week or every 2 weeks, whatever it is. So this is the idea of renunciation. That free the mind from the sense desire, and the mind can be sabai, and that sabai mind, when he or she go meditate, he can meditate better because there's no disturbance from the sense desire. If a person has an ill will mind, mad easily, so that person may start to practice loving kindness, to develop metta more, then the mind can be more sabai. If a person is very cruelty, that's maybe it's time for him to reflect deeper into the idea of abhihingsa, that means non-cruelty, or the karuna, compassion. Okay, this is how we put them into practice. And then after the Bodhisattva understand this thought, he put into practice. This is what he discovered. He said, as I abide thus, diligent and ardent and resolute, a thought of sensual desire arose in me. When he meditated, the sense desire arose in his mind. I understood that this thought of sense desire has arisen now. That means he has sati, right? So sati can catch that now the mind is not with the object, whatever he meditated with, but he catch that there is a sense desire in my mind, and these lead to my own affliction, to other afflictions, and to the affliction of both. It obstructs wisdom, it causes difficulties, and it leads away from nibbana. That's how the Bodhisattva, he reflects on his thought when the thought of sensual desire has arisen in his mind. It doesn't benefit me, and it doesn't benefit others, and it obstructs wisdom, it causes difficulty. The mind cannot be still, the mind cannot be clear and be calm, and it leads away from nibbana. So that means the Bodhisattva, he knows why he meditates. His meditation aim is quite higher than many of us who practice meditation. He feel like when every time the sense desire arises, so the mind cannot be relaxed, cannot be sabai, cannot go deep in his meditation. What should he do? Whenever a thought of sense desire arose in me, I abandon it, I remove it, I did away with it. And this applies to the same with other thoughts like ill will or cruelty. Every time it arises, you can use this approach all of the 5 hindrances as well. Whenever the mind is not sabai, it gets agitated, it gets distracted by the 5 hindrances and the sense desire or the ill will or the cruelty, whatever it is. Here you can see that the Bodhisattva, he make an effort to abandon, to remove, and to did away with it. He did something about his own mind when that kind of thought arises, which he did not mention here of how exactly that he did it, but it's appear that he himself, he tries something, he make an effort to abandon the thought, to remove the thought, to did away with the thought. There are some other technique that the Buddha mentioned in different sutras. The technique that he used may be like a replacement, or think of something opposite. Think of something opposite, like if a mind have lust, think of woman, think of entertainment, you may apply the idea of the body is unwholesome, the body is loathsomeness, the body is ugliness. The people that you think of, she will get old, get ill, and eventually she die. So by thinking of death, it can be replaced with the thought of sense pleasure. Then the mind can come back and be relaxed again. Or you can think of the disadvantage, which again in this, the Buddha also mentioned about the idea of reflect in this way to about disadvantage of this kind of thought. It doesn't take him, anywhere near nibbana. Then he just he just abandoned the thought right away. And sometimes you can apply the technique of non-attention. I don't know which one that you normally use when the thought arrives in your mind. Do you think of something opposite? Do you think of the disadvantage of that kind of thought. Oh, I'm a monk, I should feel shameful of thinking of women or thinking of shopping or buying that stuff. You apply something, then the thought will subside, the thought will go away. Or some monks just do nothing, pay no attention to the thought when it's come. So these are the three examples or the three techniques that you can use as well. But here, what we can reflect is the Buddha to be, he did something when the thought of desire, when the thought of ill will, and when the thought of cruelty arrived in his mind. So don't just let it be there. It's time for you to recognize it and do something about it. And unwholesome thought, like I said, sense desire, ill will, and cruelty, the Buddha reflect on the cause. It doesn't give him any benefit. It causes harm, it destroys wisdom, and it leads away from Nibbana. So this kind of thought, every time it arises, we should abandon them. But which technique, again, is up to the practitioner, up to you. When wholesome thought arises, think of renunciation, sense pleasure is no good, ill will is no good, cruelty is no good. So you see that it causes no harm, it increases wisdom, it leads to Nibbana. Then one should cultivate, should to contemplate only wholesome thought while maintaining mindfulness. Okay, it's logical. It seems to be easy to follow the approach. Okay, this is benefit. Thinking of non-sense pleasure, thinking of metta, thinking of karuna is a good thought. That's something we should cultivate. But the Buddha did not stop there. When dealing with wholesome thought, he come up with something that he discovered for himself. Okay, even though it do not lead to affliction, it's wisdom, it leads to Nibbana. But excessive thinking can tire the body. I don't know if you notice this when you practice meditation. That's what the Buddha to be. He observed his own practice and he discovered that too much thinking, even though it's a wholesome thinking, it leads to the tiredness of the body. And when the body is strained, it leads the mind to be strained too. Better to steady, quiet, and concentrate the mind. Not overwhelm yourself, overthinking, even though that thinking is a good thing. According to the scientists this day, they also discover that thinking too much can make you tired. If you were to take the exam next week, you have been study hard day and night, right? And when before the day of the exam come, you still keep on thinking and worry about the exam. What if I fail? What if the exam doesn't go the way I think? You cannot rest and you cannot stay focused. It doesn't do any good for you, even though the thinking of focusing on the exam material is a good thing. But your body and mind can be tired and it doesn't do any good. Same thing in meditation. Okay, for example, when you sit for meditation, you may have a wholesome reflection like this. Okay, I give up the worldly life of attachment, I follow the Buddha way, I am a good monk, I observe precept, my precept is clean, I am nice to my friend. All these are a good thought, is a wholesome reflection. But if you keep repeating that thinking too much, the mind become busy. For the rest of the session, the mind continue to wander of something else. It cannot stay still. So instead of doing that, after you recall your virtue, recall your good intention why you become a monk, recollect your merit of your precept or whatever it is, after the mind feel peace and calm, the mind is ready. He drop the thinking, stay quietly with whatever object that you use. So the mind become unified and the samadhi will grow. So this happened to Luang Pi many times. When I meditate, sometimes I spend like over 10-15 minutes to thinking of the good thing that I have done in the last week, last month. And now I cannot stop, even though it's a good thing. And here the Buddha said, if you keep on thinking, even though it's a good thing, the body will get tired and the mind will also get tired later on. And then there's no peace. This is not the good way of practicing meditation. You have to know this is enough. When your mind is cheerful, the mind is joy, when you think of your good thing that you have done, then you should drop it. So whether the bad thought, of course, you should abandon it. But when it comes to the good thought, you should find a way to drop it as well. So let the mind be at peace by itself. So this is the Buddha clearly state that you guys should find a way to drop it, even though it's a good thought. You should know this is enough for the mind to be sabai, and then just drop it. Otherwise, you can spend 1 hour thinking of the good thing that you wanted to do. And then the Buddha said, whatever a bhikkhu frequently thinks and ponder. This is another beautiful quote. Whatever a bhikkhu frequently thinks and ponders upon, that will become the inclination of mind. What does it mean? What you think you become, right? Inclination will lead to habit of mind. When it becomes habit of mind, it's difficult to change. It's difficult to change. Sometimes I want everything to be perfect. In this 1 hour lecture, you know how many hours I spend just finding this picture. Maybe 15 minutes. I changed 5 times just to come up with this perfect picture in my view. But now it's still not perfect. But I have to cut it off. Okay, you know what? I cannot spend more time than this. So it's the inclination of mind want everything to be perfect. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. In life we need to understand this, maybe there's no way we can be perfect. You do your best by the time that you have and enjoy it, that's all. So this sentence gives us the warning about what we think. Buddha here said again, whatever you think, right, frequently, that means often. If you think and ponder upon it, it will become the habit of mind. And when it becomes habit of mind, it's going to be difficult to change, because frequently unwholesome thought, the mind inclined toward unwholesome. If the mind think of wholesome thought, again the mind inclined toward wholesome. So we shape our mind through what we repeatedly contemplate. The more you spend time thinking of that, okay, it will become the habit of your mind. Now the Buddha used the cowherd analogy, which is another beautiful analogy. He said, just as in the last month of the rainy season, in the autumn, when the crops thickened, a cowherd would guard his cows by constantly tapping and poking them on this side and that with a stick. Check and curb them. Try to direct the cow. You think of the cowherd, right? You take the cow to the right field. So the cow, the habit of the cow usually leaning toward go find food to eat. If wherever he see the green grass, the cow would incline toward to go over there to eat, to enjoy the food. That's the nature of animal. As the owner of the cowherd, your job is to guard the cow and direct the cow towards some place safe. If the cow step to someone right field or garden, that will cause the trouble to the gardener and cause the trouble to you as the owner. That's the idea here. Why is that? Because he see that he could be flogged, he could be imprisoned, he could be fined, he could be blamed if he let the cow stray into the crops. So too, I saw in unwholesome state, he saw what? The danger, the degradation, the defilements, and in the wholesome state, the blessing of renunciation, the aspect of cleansing. The Buddha see that if someone, don't guard their mind, allow the mind to trap in the wholesome state, it will lead to the danger, lead him away from wisdom, lead him away from nibbana. So before, in this, if we apply this into this picture, right? If this is the cowherd, the guy who take care of the cow. So if he take the cow into the right field, he must guard his cow and direct the cow to protect the cow from the crops. So the cowherd actively protect the cow from the crop. As a meditator, we must actively guard against the unwholesome thought. This is something that the Bodhisattva, he discovered that, and he applied this approach. Whenever the sense desire arrive, the evil arrive, the cruelty arrive, he make an effort to abandon it. Don't just let it sit there. Don't just continue to entertain it. It's okay to think of food. It's okay to think of that movie, this movie. If you spend more than 1 minute on that thought, you tend to trap in the thought, and then you cannot get out of it. When people check their phone for a few minutes, he become he may continue to do that for 1 hour because he trapped in that phone. So this is unwholesome. So you have to be bold, have to be brave enough to abandon that thought right away when it comes. Okay, sense pleasure come, turn away from that, thinking of something opposite, and then move on. So all these come from the thing, come from what we think. Okay, good thought and bad thought. So the easiest way and the shortcut is to turn your mind to something opposite. That's all. Okay, if you feel bad about something, you think of the Buddha. Welcome the Buddha to sit in your mind. When the Buddha sits in your mind, the mind tends to be in wholesome state. The mind tends to be more mindful. Okay, then the mind will shy away from the bad thought, thinking of entertainment, thinking of women. All this will slowly fade away, and the mind become what it's developed upon by abandoning unwholesome thought and cultivate wholesome one. With balance and mindfulness, liberation is possible. So whether good thought or bad thought, we must be aware when the thought come. Then you can definitely have a good meditation, and that of course will lead to the higher meditation, later jhāna, all the way up to realizing the arahants or enlightenment later on down the road. And then Buddha said, just as in the last month, this is another simile of the hot season, when all the crops have been brought inside the village, the cowherd would guard his cow while he staying at the root of the tree out in the open, since he need only to be mindful that the cow are there. So too, there was need for me only to be mindful that those states were there. This is interesting. So now the villager get the crop already. The cowherd doesn't have to worry about where the cow will step on someone's garden or someone's crops. He can have the cow walk around. He can sit underneath of the tree, in the open area. Just he can be relaxed and let the cow be there. His job is to be mindful that my cow is over there. That's all. So when your mind is in wholesome state, your job is what? You only to be mindful that those states were there. That's all. You with your breath, you with your mantra, you with the meditation object. You know that you are sabai. You know that your object of meditation is still with you. That's it. Very simple. Simple, but need practice, right? Okay. So after the harvesting, the cowherd simply stay mindful of the cow. I know the cow is there. I don't have to worry about it. Once the wholesome state established, maintain mindfulness. That's it. Maintain mindfulness means you are fully with your meditation object. When the thought comes, you know that sense pleasure comes, ill will come, cruelty comes, agitation comes, worry comes. With mindfulness, you know what's going on. Even though he can sit relaxed, he knows the cow is over there. But when there is some danger come, like maybe the tiger come, or something that might harm the cow, so he can do something about it to protect his cow. That's the idea here. Now it's getting to something a little bit more advanced. Like we can take a quick look into it. Tireless energy was aroused in me, and unremitting mindfulness was established. My body was tranquil and untroubled. My mind concentrated and unified. So when he got the mind from the unwholesome thought, like sense pleasure, ill will, cruelty, when he worked on that, the mind become wholesome. Even though the mind become wholesome, he continued to stay mindfulness, to be mindful. And eventually, this tireless energy, we can think of the word piti, aroused in me, and unremitting mindfulness. The mindfulness become sharp, become stronger, was established. The body become tranquil. We learned this already last time. And untroubled, my mind become unified and concentrate. He getting to the state of samadhi, quiet, secluded from sense pleasure, secluded from unwholesome state. I enter upon, abide in the first jhāna onward. Okay. So the text skip this part. I directly knew that birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, what has to be done has been done, there is no more coming to any state of being. That's the classic statement of all the arahants when they can penetrate to their own mind and to be able to complete, to uproot all the defilement completely. This was the third true knowledge attained by me. The last watch of the night. That means the Buddha to be, he meditate all night and he attained the third or the highest knowledge in the last watch of that night. The ignorance was banished and the true knowledge arose. The darkness was banished and the light arose. As happens in one whole abide delight, ardent and resolute. Okay, what's happening here? After the Buddha worked on that unwholesome thought, so he developed wholesome thought, he continued to maintain the mindfulness on the object of his meditation, and his meditation, he go deeper and deeper into his meditation, access to the jhāna, and higher than that. Then the Buddha realized the three knowledge through diligence, through mindfulness and concentration. Diligence, mindfulness and concentration take him to attain the three kind of knowledge. What kind of three knowledge that the Buddha mentioned here? The first is called Buddhe Nivasanusati Jhāna, the recollection of the past life of himself. The second knowledge or the second wisdom is Juttupapata Jhāna, the knowledge of being, passing and rebirth according to the karma. Now he understands the law of karma. And the third knowledge, this is what he means here. The third true knowledge. The third true knowledge refers to the Asavakkhaya Jhāna, which means the wisdom that help him to be able to remove the defilement completely. The destruction of the tens, sometimes you see the word tens here, the avijja, tanha, the defilements or the kilesa, by realizing the Four Noble Truth. This is called Asavakkhaya Jhāna. Arises from purified concentration, samadhi, with heedfulness and diligence, effort to burn away defilement. So when someone meditate, just like the Bodhisattva, they meditate with their life. They don't just sit to relaxation. They investigate what's going on and try to adjust why the mind is not sabai, why the mind is not still, why the mind is being disturbed. What caused my mind to be unrest, to be disturbed all the time. So he analyzed that and he figured out what caused it and tried to abandon it. Diligent effort, okay? That means he make an effort to make that thing go away. Suppose the bhikkhu that now the Buddha go to the last part. After he realized the three knowledge, for himself he can liberate, he is awakened, he become enlightened being, achieve the enlightenment by himself. And now he share with the monks, the bhikkhu, of what happened and how bhikkhu should be prepared and be aware. He says, suppose the bhikkhu that in a wooded range there was a great low-lying marsh. You know the marsh? The marsh is like this. The place with some water where animals go, drink water and find food over there. Near the large herd of deer live. This is where the deer, the large group of deer, they live around that marsh or the swamp. Then a man appear desiring their ruin, harm and bondage. So he closed off the safe and a good path to travel joyfully. He opened up a foul path and he put out a decoy and set a dummy so that the large herd of deer might later come upon calamity, disaster and loss. That's the simile that the Buddha used. Okay, you think of that area, beautiful with water, with grass, where the group of deer live by. So the deer usually come and find food in that area. And all of a sudden there's a man, a bad man. Okay, he closed the path. He put the decoy and the dummy to trap those deer. So this man is a bad man, right? And another man, the Buddha said, came desiring their good, their well-being, the welfare and protection, and he reopened safe and a good path that lead to their happiness. So he closed off the foul path, he removed the decoy, and he destroyed the dummy, so that the large herd of deer might later come to growth, increase and fulfillment. Maybe you can guess who is the bad man and who is the another man here. The bad man, close the path, okay, put the decoy, put the dummy to trap the deer, wish the deer to be harmed, right? But another man wish opposite. He wished the deer to be happy for their well-being. So he reopened the path that's safe and good, so the deer can grow, can increase, and can be fulfilled. So in this case, the marsh or the swamp, the Buddha referred to the same pleasure. This is the world that most people, we are trapped in the realm of the same pleasure. And the wrong path is the foul eightfold path. We call Miccha eightfold path. The decoy and the dummy, decoy refer to the craving or the tanha, and the dummy refer to the ignorance. And that man is the Mara, the one who leads us to the road of destruction or the road of ruin. The Tathagata, of course, the Buddha is the one who reopened the safe path, the Noble Eightfold Path. He closed off the wrong path and removed the decoy, which is the craving, and destroyed the dummy, which is the ignorance. That is the Buddha. So we are so fortunate to have access to such teacher from the Buddha. And here is the last part of the sutta that the Buddha mentioned to the monks to use as the guidance for his or her own practice. He said, what should be done for his disciples out of compassion by a teacher who seeks their welfare and has compassion for them. You see how the Buddha think of us. He think of our welfare. He think out of compassion, because we are still trapped in the realm of sense pleasure, that lure, that trigger, that trap by the Mara. That I have done for you, Bhikkhu. There are this root of trees, this empty hut. He said, meditate, Bhikkhu, do not delay. Or meditate, Bhikkhu, do not delay, or else you will regret it later. This is our instruction to you. You see how important of meditation as a monk. That's the empty hut. That's the root of tree. You should go meditate, monk. Don't delay, or else you will regret later on. When you're still young, when your health still okay, when the condition of your living condition, the food still be able to find, have everything enough, you should take this opportunity to meditate more. Because whatever we have here, it may not be like this forever. Tomorrow you may get sick, tomorrow something may happen to you, then you cannot meditate. So those, the empty hut, those, the root of tree, monks, you go meditate. The Buddha is the pointer. He cannot meditate for us. He cannot observe precept for us. He reopened this path for us, but whether you want to walk down this path or not is totally up to you. And how far you want to walk, again, is totally up to you. That's the idea of the teacher, who wish everyone the best in this monastic life, in this spiritual path. But to be success or not, again, one must walk the path oneself with the wise reflection. Okay? Keep on adjust, keep on uplifted your mind from an unwholesome state. Then eventually you're going to be okay. So on the daily practice, notice the mind's inclination. How many times that the mind thinking of something unwholesome today, negativities. You need to be able to observe and catch that thought. It helps you to grow when it's come to dealing with the negative thought. Reflect on the harm this brings to yourself and to the others. When you're thinking of this thought, obsessed with this kind of thought too much, thinking of the harmfulness that it come to yourself and it come to the group, your brothers. Consciously incline the mind toward wholesome thought. Consciously, intentionally, mindfully incline the mind toward wholesome thought. Whenever the unwholesome thought arrives, don't just let it be there. And observe the change in yourself. Okay? It's very simple, but you can repeat, do it over and over. Your mindfulness will become strong, and you can catch every time the unwholesome thought arises, and you can do something about it. So the mind can come back and remain calm, bright and clear again. So this should be the last slide. So you can put this into reflection for yourself, okay? What thought frequently occupy your mind all day long? Pay attention, just like the Buddha to be. He paid attention to the thought that keep coming back to himself. How do unwholesome thoughts affect your well-being as a whole, body and mind? What changes occur when you consciously cultivate wholesome thought? You need to be able to notice that. And how can you apply the cowherd method in a daily life? Now you're the owner of your own mind. You direct the mind, okay, to the safe place, not to the unsafe place. The unsafe place is the place where the Mara put the trap there. You utilize the same pleasure. Whatever the mind like that incline toward the inclination that come from the Mara. People get mad easily, people crave for food, people falling asleep. So all of this is a trap. When it show up in your mind, your job is to be able to develop mindfulness, to recognize that and direct the mind back to the wholesome state. Okay, that's very simple. Simple, but it's not always easy. Every one of us should put it to practice after we study this sutra together. That's pretty much something that I want to share with you today. Okay, so we take a break.